Ready for something new? Let's dive into Indian streetwear today.
Sounds good.
And we're not just talking fashion, this is like a cultural wave. We're digging into this with a podcast episode all about building a clothing brand over in India.
Yeah, and it's super interesting how Indian streetwear isn't just a copy-paste of Western trends. You know?
Right.
It's like young people are taking those global vibes and merging them with their own culture, making something fresh and unique.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like taking what they see globally, but making it their own. The source we're checking out really stresses that to get what's happening in India, you gotta get streetwear itself.
Absolutely. Streetwear wasn't born in some fancy Paris fashion show.
Yeah.
It's from the streets, from skateboarding, hip-hop, surf culture, all those subcultures.
Right.
It's about saying something with your clothes, like casual clothes, but with meaning.
It's like their clothes became this visual thing, showing their interests, their whole outlook. And that thing of using fashion to be you seems huge with young Indians.
Big time. It goes deeper than just trends. It's way deeper.
For sure.
Think about it. India's population is one of the youngest.
That's true.
This generation grew up as India's economy boomed, and they want to show who they are, break free from all those old expectations.
Yeah.
Streetwear. That's their tool.
Makes total sense. And the way they mix global trends with their own heritage is fascinating. You see it everywhere. Kurtas with the latest sneakers, traditional saris with like bomber jackets.
Right. Such a cool blend. And our source points to two big things fueling this. First, India's middle class is growing, so more young people can actually afford to explore fashion, unlike older generations.
So it's not just for the elite anymore. It's like fashion is a way to express yourself no matter what.
Exactly. Second thing, Indian hip-hop and skate culture are blowing up,
Sure.
creating this whole breeding ground for streetwear to take off.
Creates a loop, right? Local trends get big, then they actually start influencing the global scene.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the source mentions drop culture. For those of us not in the loop, break it down, especially how it works in India.
Okay, drop culture is all about hype and exclusivity. Brands do limited edition stuff, very little warning, and it sells out like crazy.
Yeah.
It's that whole fear of missing out thing, wanting what's limited. And in India, huge. Because some global brands are harder to get, snagging a coveted item means something, shows you're in the know.
It's like a secret club, only for those in the know.
Totally. That feeling of, I got it, you didn't. It's gold for these brands. And get this, India is a perfect storm brewing. Tons of young people, fashion's their thing, more money to spend, that whole street culture vibe and the whole gotta have it now thing because of drop culture.
Makes sense. Business-wise, this has got to be like hitting the jackpot.
Big time. Our source says by 2025, India's fashion market, nearly $100 billion.
Whoa.
And a huge chunk of that, casual wear and streetwear.
Seriously, those numbers are massive. International brands must be like, how do we get in on this?
Oh, for sure. You see global brands setting up shop there. But here's the thing. The source points out this massive demand for homegrown brands that really get India, Those are the ones clicking with young people.
Totally. It's not just about slapping a logo on something. It's deeper than that. It's like you got to understand the local vibe, the culture, everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you crack the code and build a brand there?
Yeah.
The source says it's a whole different game than, say, the U.S. or Europe.
Right.
You can't just copy-paste what works elsewhere. The legal stuff alone is huge.
Yeah.
Navigating all that can be a maze.
Oh, I bet. We're talking permits, regulations, all that fun stuff.
For the GST registration, India's whole tax thing, every business needs to deal with that.
Right.
Then there's protecting your brand, the logos, the designs. Imagine creating something awesome, then someone just steals it.
Oof, nightmare fuel right there. Makes sense why the source would emphasize that part. So, legal stuff aside, what else makes or breaks a streetwear brand in India?
Production, supply chain, that's huge. Finding the right people to make your stuff, getting materials ethically, quality control. It's a whole other ballgame in a market as big and diverse as India.
Like a massive jigsaw puzzle, got to find all the right pieces.
Exactly. The source actually suggests starting small, maybe test the waters with a limited release, get a feel for things.
Smart.
A good way to see what works, get feedback, without risking too much too soon.
Solid advice, test the waters first.
Especially in streetwear, things move fast. You got to adapt, be on top of trends. Having a great product isn't enough. You got to connect with people, build a community, create that buzz.
Tap into that energy we talked about, right? Authenticity is key.
It's got to be real, reflect the people and culture that inspired it. Global cool meets local flavor. That's the magic formula.
Speaking of street, It makes you think about sustainability, right?
Uh-huh.
Fashion, especially, has kind of a rep for not being so eco-friendly. How's that playing out in Indian streetwear? Are there brands actually walking the walk?
Such a good point. And it's something especially younger generations are really starting to care about,
Yeah.
as they should. And it's definitely happening in India. You see this whole movement in Indian fashion overall to be more ethical, sourcing responsibly, manufacturing better, less environmental impact.
So it's not just about looking good, it's about doing good too.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really cool. Think about streetwear brands using traditional Indian textiles, like khadi, known for being super sustainable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hand-spun, hand-woven, often organic cotton, durable, cool-looking. It tells a story. Imagine that in streetwear designs,
Ooh.
right? Where designers using natural dyes from plants, minerals, instead of all those harsh chemicals.
Interesting.
Better for the environment. And do you get these amazing, unique colors impossible to get otherwise?
Wow, never thought of it that way. It's like traditional skills meet modern values. Streetwear with a conscience.
Totally. And it's growing, not just in India, but globally.
Yeah.
More and more brands, big and small, realizing that being sustainable isn't just like a nice thing to do, it's good business. Consumers want it.
It's like streetwear is becoming this way to make real change happen,
Yeah.
pushing boundaries with style and ethics. Wild.
Yeah, it really is. Makes it super interesting to follow. And not just for fashion people. Anyone who wants to get what's happening in the world today, culturally,
Yeah.
economically.
It's like this window into how huge trends, streetwear mixed with local cultures, make something totally new.
Exactly. And that's a big takeaway, don't you think? It's not global or our local. It's finding that sweet spot where they both work, even make each other stronger.
Striking that balance,
Right.
respecting where things came from, but being open to what's next.
Totally.
This whole deep dive has been eye-opening. So to everyone listening, if you've ever wondered about streetwear, what it means, the things influencing it, hopefully this gives you a new angle. India's scene is proof that self-expression is powerful, that cultures can blend and create something awesome, and even something as everyday as what we wear can make a difference. Who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to check out streetwear, find new brands, even start something yourself. The possibilities, just like Indian streetwear, are wide open.